up, guys? Obviously, it's CaptainObviouzX, and I got a Borderlands 2 gameplay commentary for you guys today, and this is not like any other commentary I've done for Borderlands 2 so far. What I'll be doing today is I'll actually be reviewing this game as a whole. I mean, I've taken a few weeks since this game's release to actually talk about my opinions of it. Because all of you guys may know that Borderlands 1 was one of my favorite games ever. Now that Borderlands 2 is out, I really have some different opinions as to what I feel are really great aspects of this game and the Borderlands franchise as a whole. Now, there are a lot of things going for this game. There's a lot of awesome things that this game has to offer that Borderlands 1 did not. There's a lot of things that this game has to offer that other FPSs and RPGs out there just don't give you in, satisfactory amounts that Borderlands 2 offers you, which I really do enjoy a lot about this game. Gearbox obviously put a lot of work into making this game polished and perfect, and just overall make it a great gaming experience for the masses, which I really appreciate, because Borderlands 1 was not a attractive game to some different, demographics and different age groups, just because of the fact that the graphics weren't that great, the gameplay wasn't exactly as fluid as some of the FPSs of that time, like Halo, Call of Duty, Battlefield, things like that. But now they've really upped the ante with Borderlands 2, and it puts it on par with all of the other first-person shooters out there as of right now. Sometimes even being better than certain ones of them, such as Call of Duty and even Battlefield. I feel like this game beats Battlefield out in terms of its gunplay, which is something that it really has difficulty doing because of the polished nature of the Frostbite 2 engine that Battlefield 3 offers you. I just feel like in this game, guns just feel better than in Borderlands 1, and in pretty much every single other FPS on the market right now. I guess it's because of the variety of weapons in the game, but still overall the gunplay feels very, very fluid and polished to me personally. And maybe not to you, but just to me the gunplay feels great. Now going on along the same trail as gunplay, there's also different weapons in Borderlands 2. Now I don't mean like different weapons, I mean like vastly different weapons. This game has bazillions of weapons, as quoted many different times in many different Borderlands 2 trailers or interviews with Gearbox employees. There's a lot of weapons in this game. There's no denying the fact that there's a lot of weapons. The way they do it is there are different parts to each weapon that are pretty much standard throughout every single weapon class. So you have the barrel, the magazine, the scope, the stock, the grip, and possibly the barrel. I'm not quite certain. So all of these things going into the weapon will dictate what kind of weapon it is, taking on the influence of different levels and different, statistics that have to make your character sort of stack up against the enemies at your current level. So let's say at level 25, you have a weapon that's doing, probably about 200 damage for a SMG. If you find a different SMG that does a little less damage, usually its parts will match up to make it be a little bit more accurate, but of less of a damage. It's this awesome generation, thing they have in Borderlands 2. There's always going to be different weapons in this game. No matter what playthrough you go for, you're never going to have the same weapon twice, because of different parts that make these weapons work. And now you may be thinking to yourself, there's only 6 or 7 parts. How is that going to be an exponential growth as to bazillions of weapons? And the way it works is that with those separate attachments, you also have to factor in the level of the characters around you. You also have to factor in the sort of overall nature of the weapon. There's many different things that go into the weapon that makes it different. You'll also have different magazine types, like it'll take 2 shots to fire 1 round. You'll also take a look at maybe a sniper rifle that is extremely inaccurate, but over time after firing it, it'll be a lot more accurate. There's these things that go into Borderlands 2 that makes all the weapons just a lot more attractive, because of the fact that they're all different from each other. Now, there's some same weapons in Borderlands 2, like the legendaries, which are orange, rarity colored. If you find a colored weapon that is orange, that is a legendary weapon. You'll find that no matter what playthrough you're going through, because it's pretty much standard throughout Borderlands 2. But there are a few other awesome weapons additions in addition to the other cooler ones in Borderlands 2 that are not in Borderlands 1. Now, we have the E-Tech weapon, which is one of the examples that I have in the gameplay right now. This weapon that I'm using right now is an E-Tech weapon. What it is it transfers regular ammo into laser beams. So you'll fire the weapon and you'll just be firing lasers, which I think is really, really cool. Adding in a whole new genre and class of weapons, sort of intertwined with the rest of the weapon manufacturers, really makes the game, I'm not going to say bigger and more, you know, open feeling in terms of different weapons. But I just feel like it gives it just a better feel because there's always going to be that kind of weapon you're looking forward to. You always want to look forward to that E-Tech weapon or that legendary weapon or that unique weapon that just is really, really powerful. And those weapons mixed in with the randomized weapons really gives this game a nice loot feel to it. Diablo 3 is loot driven. Borderlands 2 is loot driven. Even games like World of Warcraft tend to be loot driven. So all these games which are loot driven really keep the player going and making sure that they can keep their arsenal stacked to the top with powerful weaponry. And there's always that challenge or that drive to get an even better weapon than the last one you had, which is something that Borderlands 2 accomplishes greatly. Now, moving away from gunplay and weaponry, we're going to talk about the graphics of Borderlands 2. This is one of the main turnoffs for Borderlands 2 in, you know, trying to attract different age groups and demographics, such as the ones who play Call of Duty all the time, such as the people who play Battlefield all the time. Just the fact that the graphics are not on par in terms of realism as compared to those games really turns some people off. But you have to think about one thing. Borderlands 2 is a comical game. There's no denying that. So the cel-shaded art style of this game really makes it just overall... It just fits Borderlands 2's overall attitude and atmosphere. The cel shading really makes the game just unique amongst other RPGs and FPSs, which I really like. I mean, if Borderlands 2 had just, you know, Frostbite 2 engine graphics, do you really think it would be that different than, let's say, the next other FPS out there? No, it really wouldn't. But this shell-shading art style with the nice shadows and the really awesome weaponry makes this game just beautiful. It fits the attitude, it fits the atmosphere, and it makes it stand out from other games. When you think of cel shading, what do you think of? I think of Borderlands 2. I know there's other cel shading games out there, but I feel like Borderlands 2 really, you know, smacks a cel shading right on the head, making it the best it possibly can be in this game. There's no denying the fact that the cel shading of Borderlands 2 is one of the most polished and beautiful out there, which I really enjoy. Sometimes you have to look past the graphical nature of Borderlands 2, you know, for those people who don't want to get into a game with such graphics that look like this. But I think looking past the overall graphics nature of Borderlands 2 will make you an overall happier gamer because you look past that and you realize that Borderlands 2 actually has more to offer than just its graphics. Now, unfortunately, the graphical difference between the Xbox 360, PS3, and PC are really, really different. The Xbox 360 and PS3 versions are not as beautiful. You know, it's accepted in today's world that you won't get that beautiful of a game on Xbox and PS3. But over on PC, the game is gorgeous. I mean, they have dedicated PC support for this game. They also have this new NVIDIA software built into the game that really makes it a lot more, you know, beautiful. What they have is it's sort of like minor destructible environments. If you hit the ground with a rocket launcher, you're going to see things fly up. You're going to see a hole in the ground. Possibly, I may be wrong with that. You can shoot barrels around. You can shoot crates around. Things like that with an NVIDIA graphics card on the PC really makes the game that much more awesome than its Xbox and PS3 counterparts. So if you guys have a capable PC of running this game with dedicated PC, you know, graphics software and some really good fast processors, I recommend buying this game on PC. I mean, if I had a PC, I would definitely buy the game on PC. Because of the simple fact that there's dedicated PC support, and it's just that more beautiful, it's just that more fluid, and overall the game just feels and looks better on PC. Just like pretty much any other game out there. Now let's talk about sound in Borderlands 2. Now Borderlands 2 really gets sound right. Now let me explain. Sound is a difficult thing for games to get right. It's very difficult for a game to polish their sound to the best it can be. Battlefield 3 with the Frostbite 2 engine really gets sound nailed down because just of the overall, I'm not really going to say environments of the game where you can hear a gunshot from miles away. What it gets right is the fact that you can detect bullets where they're coming from. That's what I feel like sound really helps out in a game. And now you may be thinking to yourself, yes, footsteps are a very nice portion of sound, which is, you know, helps in Call of Duty and Battlefield. But the thing about Borderlands 2 is its sound. Now, there's no, like, footsteps or listening for, you know, bullets firing by your head. in Borderlands 2 is not really necessary, but what they have is a unique sounding nature of different weapons, of different enemies, of different overall environments, and just atmospheres in Borderlands 2. That is something that is amazing in this game. Just I'm not going to say the sound quality, I mean, it's lacking in some areas, definitely. But it's just the overall sound variety that makes the game amazing in terms of, different weaponry, different areas, different enemies. The variety of sound in this game is phenomenal. They really put a lot of time into making the weapons sound differently, behave differently. The sound has a play on what weapon you choose, absolutely. I'm a cosmetic guy like that. If I choose a weapon that sounds cool, I'm happier than if I chose a weapon that doesn't sound cool. So having really cool sounding weapons in this game is a great idea. It's also a great thing for the people who like those cosmetic things like I do. Alright, so I've pretty much talked about the three main components of a video game and Borderlands 2. Sound, graphics, gunplay / gameplay. Now, let's talk about the differences between this game and Borderlands 1, which I feel like are better in the first game or better in the second game. Now, obviously the game is a lot better looking than Borderlands 1. It's longer than Borderlands 1. It's more immersive than Borderlands 1. The story is a lot better. I really did care about the characters in this game. I cared about what happened in the game. In Borderlands 1, I felt myself just feeling empty and, trying to relate to the story. I didn't really feel like there was that much of a story there unless you read the mission text, which really was time-consuming because there's a lot of text there. But now in Borderlands 1, they really throw the story right at you. They have the radio communications between different characters. They have the, immersive storylines that go into, parts of these characters' personalities. I just feel like the story in Borderlands 2 is a lot more developed and overall better than Borderlands 1's story. Another thing I like better in Borderlands 2 as compared to Borderlands 1 is the environments in the games. Now, Borderlands 1 really had a deserty and a barren wasteland feel to it, which is nice in some aspects. I mean, you like having the openness of the world and just the emptiness you feel of being the only sane person there. But Borderlands 2 really makes you just overall just more immersed in the environments and the culture of this place. There's actually people in the game. There's actually different towns. There's actually different, factions of people who are real in the game. Not actual players in real life. But there's actually people in the game who will help you get along your journey. There's actually different towns that makes the overall just atmosphere and environment of the game just feel more full and just more vibrant. There's also even better areas to go to. I mean, right here we have the Wildlife Exploitation Preserve. You also have the Iridium Blight, which is a really cool place. The Highlands in general are a very beautiful place. And just the difference in environments in Borderlands 2 really makes it shine in terms of making it different than Borderlands 1, because all that game was desert up until the very end of the game. But now we have something just overall greater than what Borderlands 1 had to offer, and that is just the variety of environments, the beauty of the environments. It's amazing the fact that they put so much effort in making these environments so great. That really makes me happy with what their decision to move away from the deserty setting and more into a more civilized setting, but at the same time make it just even more exotic and even more beautiful to look at, which I really enjoy. Now, like all reviews, you have to talk about the weaknesses and the downsides of buying this game, which I'm going to talk to you guys about right now. Now, in all honesty, there's not really too many downsides to the game. It's pretty much near perfect. It all comes down to opinions of what you like versus what you don't like. But there's a few things about Borderlands 2 that will make people who both love the game and don't like the game mad. And that is what is pretty much standard for a lot of games these days, and that's frame rate drops. When you have a game like Borderlands 2, there's always going to be some frame rate drops. So when it's running at 30 frames per second on Xbox 360, you'll experience some very heavy frame rate drops, possibly down to 20 or 15 in larger firefights. Now, in certain games in today's era, you will not find anything like that. Like Call of Duty, you're always going to stay at 60 frames per second, and you'll pretty much stay above 30 at all times. But when you have a standard frame rate of 30, you're going to drop below that a lot, and Borderlands 2 is no different than any other first-person shooters at this time. And the only other downside I can really think about that really makes the game difficult to play is the overall difficulty of it. If you're playing solo or 2 or 3 people, you will definitely notice a difference in terms of making this game difficult to play. There are a lot of enemies in this game who will kill you in no time at all. So be ready to die a lot if you're facing enemies who are pretty much in the same level as you are. You'll die a lot. Try to use optional and side missions to get your level up before going to the story missions, because the enemies are powerful in this game. They will F you up. But that is pretty much it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed my review of Borderlands 2, and my final score for this game is 9.5 out of 10. There are a few technical issues here and there and difficulty problems, but overall the game is nearly perfect in a lot of aspects. Remember, opinions will weigh in to see what you guys think about the game, but 9.5 out of 10 I feel is a good score. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It helps out a lot. Follow me on Twitter, and as always, rate, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. And now, just in case you guys missed it, here is yesterday's video. I talked about me coming back to Battlefield 3 and what my opinions are of it as of this point, and also talk about what I feel like is going on in my life and what is really great about that. Check out the video if you missed it. Comment, subscribe, and, as always, I'll see you guys later. Hope you enjoyed the video.